Broadcasting from the Symphony Studios in Marietta, Georgia, it's time for the Technology Harmony Podcast, brought to you by Symphony Technology Solutions. Tune in every week as we spotlight the very best minds in our industry. Now, here are your hosts.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Technology Harmony Podcast, brought to you by Symphony Technology Solutions. I am one of your hosts, Katie Galley, and with me, I have my co-host today, Avery Greer. How you doing, Avery?
Doing great, Katie. Glad to be here.
Yeah, super happy to have you here. Today is a gorgeous day here in Atlanta, wouldn't you say? Have you been outside?
I have, yeah. I think it's the best day of the year so far. So it's a good day for a podcast.
Yes, a great day. Exactly. Avery, I would agree with that. I think it's the best weather we've had all year. But yes, it still is a wonderful day for a podcast, especially because in the Symphony studio with us today, we have Chief Purchasing Agent with Gilbane Building Company, Jennifer Quinn. How are you doing, Jennifer?
Good. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Of course. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm doing great. We're super happy to have you here. So, Jennifer, to kick us off and to get to know your background a little bit, can you tell us about your professional journey and how you got the job that you have today?
Sure. I'm going to go back old school here. So, okay. It actually, for me, starts all the way back in high school of how I got into the position I am, which is my dad was a mechanical engineer, and I was definitely the daughter that followed dad around the house. So if there was work to be done outside, I was with them. Any type of chores, mine had to be dad chores, right? So mowing the grass and those type of things. And it just really, the whole construction and fix them up really interested me from a very young age, to the point where when I was in high school, my first job was at an Ace Hardware, and just really got to know
Love it.
the construction community, the local construction community that way. And so it was funny because when I was in high school, friends were like, so where are you going to study in college? I'm like, construction. And that was just not a normal answer, I found out. But I did. I went to college and studied in construction management, and I've been in the business ever since. So
I love that. I mean, getting really into it at a young age and being influenced by your dad. I mean, that's such a sweet thing to have in your, history leading you here. And so, Jennifer, from there, I mean, deciding construction was the path you were going to go. How did it ultimately lead you to Gilbane?
Wow. I like to call it leapfrog for a little bit. So right out of school, I was very fortunate. I'd interned in school, stayed with the company I was with. But as with any industry, there's a lot of turmoil and ups and downs. So my company ended up being bought out. So I ended up going to another company who was going through some struggles. I did a project with them. I worked out in the field. So I did a project with them out in the field. That company ended up getting bought out. So I was starting to feel a little bit of history here. Went to a third company where I did a condo tower for them, but they put all their eggs into one basket into the condo market. And after one project there, you're starting to see history, right? That the condo industry just went kaput. So again, I had to go find another one. Now at this point, I'd met some amazing people in the industry. And I was starting now to go to companies where I knew people at, and I knew what they were saying about the company. So after the first three, I followed a friend over to Gilbane, and basically we had made a pact. We said, if we can't make it here, we're in the wrong industry. Like it's over, we're done. And I've now been here for 13 years. So
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, it definitely goes to show that your care for people and your gravity towards them, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so if you want to, like I said, I know we've had some awesome guests from Gilbane and some of your counterparts. So maybe if you could just kind of tell us maybe Gilbane's approach to purchasing and kind of y'all's mission in that department and how you guys kind of tackle everyday projects, I think would be a really cool thing for our audience to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. So we have it where the main part of the buyout is done by our operations team, so our field team. So So what I would, for anyone watching this video, I'd want them to understand is if you're a trade contractor coming to work with Gilbane and you're coming to contract with us, you're going to be doing that process with the same guys that you're going to be working with in the field. And we think that's really important. It creates that continuous, factor. You know what you talked about, what was agreed upon, and that's what's going to be honored. Where the purchasing department comes into play, which is what I run, we're the support ops. So we do all the boring work, to put it nicely. We make the contracts, we send them out. When I first came into purchasing, because I did work in the field for 14 years before I came into purchasing, I was really surprised to learn that we also do insurance, because I had never seen insurance in my life. So we do the fun stuff. We create the contracts, we chase that down. We get the insurance certificates, and if you have contract negotiations, if you're dealing with your boilerplate, that's where we come in. So we get to handle that aspect of it, but the scope and all that is really done by the project team. So again, when you're out there working in the field, you're working again with the same people who you agreed upon the scope with. One of our biggest things that we're focusing on right now, and that we have been focused on, is obviously inclusion. So previously, our company goal was 10% diverse participation across the board in all our projects. And we've now upped that to 20%. And I can tell you in Atlanta, we do, I think it's about an average of 24% of our project is diverse participation. And that goes back 3 to 4 years. So it's not something new for us, but it's something we're always looking for. And we're always looking to expand our trade contractor database and work with new people and build them up. So that's part of our work, is to get out there, meet the trades, and get them involved with Gilbane.
And so Jennifer, I mean, because we did, Symphony went through the Young Contractors or Rising Contractors program with Gilbane. I remember you being on a lot of those calls, and it seemed like we always kicked off with kind of Gilbane's initiative and that inclusion piece. So when you talk about that, can you expound upon what that means? Because we're, Symphony being a woman-owned DBE, we're kind of in that category. Can you just kind of dive into that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So we really have 4 main categories, or maybe it's more 5, of diverse participation. You have women-owned business, you have minority business, small business, disability business or disabled business, and we also track veteran-owned business. Another item that we also track, and it's a little bit, it can vary, is the local business. So our standard is 100 miles out, but sometimes it can be less, sometimes more, but that's the standard. But we do want to make sure that, we're working with these companies and not working just with, the big companies in town. And even though there are big MWBE companies, we just want to make sure that, you're looking out for everybody here, and we're helping to grow together. And we love the Rising Contractors College. This was our first time doing it, and it was so exciting because we did get to meet y'all, and it's been great. And we hope to do it again. So if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear it.
Absolutely.
No, I thought it
great program.
was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank y'all for participating. So
yeah. Avery, do you have any other questions for Jennifer?
Yeah, just kind of as you work through and identifying some of those different minority businesses, what are some of the challenges that you really have to work through to, what are you looking for when you kind of search out for those people and the plethora of trades that you guys handle?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that we're kind of looking at is, and I hope it doesn't come across wrong, but financial stability. And we want to make sure that when we provide a project to somebody, that they're truly capable of it, and that is not going to overwhelm the company. What we always talk about, our companies go out from overeating, not from starvation. It's when they take on more than they can handle, that they really start to lose everything. And so we want to make sure that we're giving the right size project to the right contractor. So when we meet new trades, we want to make sure that, one, we kind of do that first project, that whole get to know you phase. get it right, and then we can grow from there. So I would say really we want to know, we'll check the references. We want to know what's being said on other projects. But other than that, I would say that's probably the main key, and of course, safety. So we're always going to look at the safety records and see what you're performing. And even if you have a high EMR, we want to know what the issues are. How can we help you? How can we make a job safe? So it's just about right sizing that project for us and finding, like for Gilbane, we do small projects to huge projects. So we might start out on a smaller one before we move on to the big one.
No, that's perfect. I think that was the first time I've heard the overeating and the starving kind of comparison. I do totally agree with that, and I think that's a great representation of kind of, protecting yourself as well as ensuring success for those trades. So I think that's a great thing that you guys pay attention to.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so Jennifer, right now, what is on the horizon for Gilbane? And I mean, maybe specifically in your department, anything big coming up?
Oh, goodness. Yes. So sure. My department, we're very busy. We actually manage all the contracts for Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. So I can tell you that construction is definitely picking up across that little board there. Developer projects are still a big deal. We thought it would probably go down right now, but it's not. It's picking back up. We're seeing a lot of those projects, especially in North Carolina, come in the door. Manufacturing plants, obviously with everything going on, has definitely picked up. We have a couple of those kicking off in North Carolina and in Virginia. So, and then obviously we have 3 small hospital projects that have started up.
Wow.
Just in this area. So, and they were put on hold previously before COVID, and now they've been released. So we're starting to see kind of the floodgates open right now. But it's just that starting wave coming out the door. So,
man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Avery, before we wrap, do you have any closing questions for Jennifer?
No, I don't. Jennifer, thank you so much. That was really awesome. And I'll let Katie wrap up from there.
Yeah. So Jennifer, if someone wanted to learn more about you or get in touch with you or learn more about Gilbane, where might they do that?
Sure. Please reach out to me. So my email is jquinn, Quinn, at gilbaneco.com. Or you can give me a call at the office. I'm pretty much here. So it's 678-282-1326. And I would be happy to talk or communicate with anybody.
Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To learn more about our guest and their company, check out the show notes for the relevant links. If you would like to learn more about us here at Symphony, of course, subscribe to our podcast on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook at Symphony Technology Solutions and on Instagram at Symphony Tech Solutions. Here at Symphony, our ultimate goal is to make harmonious music out of all the technological noise. And we hope today's episode helped in doing just that. See you next time.